Hey guys, today I'm at an awesome local fish store where they have a beautiful 550 gallon discus tank. This is some awesome aquascapes and I can't wait to show you around the store. It's absolutely beautiful, so let's dive right in. So the name of this local fish store is Zooxae. You're greeted right away with this 550 gallon discus tank that we'll check out in depth in just a bit, but I wanted to give a layout of the store since it is pretty unique. It has all these different lounge areas with some chairs, couches, and just some really awesome aquascapes that really provide a lot of inspiration for people that come into the store. You'll see over here they have some really great looking saltwater setups, just super clean, with some SPS corals in this one, and just some really well maintained aquariums. Over here they have a couple more saltwater tanks, and you'll see there is a good amount of saltwater here in the store, but we're probably going to focus mostly on the freshwater. And a lot of those freshwater tanks are definitely more of the aquascaping style, where you're creating more of an ecosystem, maybe having some smaller fish with really nice looking scape and plants. But I really like this tank. It had one of my favorites with the roseline sharks. Looking at them in a planted tank is always one of my favorite things. Then they had a couple other displays kind of capping the end of each aisle in the store. They have a lot of their own products too that they're selling. Big skimmers and filters, just all the things that you would need to set up your aquarium they do have in store. And I thought this was a very cool, different type of setup here with the different mangroves and this smaller, shallow saltwater tank. It really goes to show you all the different out-of-the-box thinking that this store goes through when they're setting up and maintaining all of their aquariums. But obviously there is a massive aquarium here, and this is right when you walk in the door, a 550 gallon planted discus tank. And I don't know if the camera even gives this tank justice because it is so big in person, and they had two chairs right there in front of the tank that you could sit there and just watch it for hours in the day, and I almost did. But this tank had some beautiful discus with red melons and pigeon bloods, and also had some really good tank mates for discus, some that I keep at home with the rummy nose tetras, some corydoras, and they had a really big school of cardinal tetras, and this is one of the biggest schools I've seen of them all in one tank, and it's pretty awesome to see them in such a big size school. And they also had some angelfish in this tank. It was just a really peaceful, calm looking tank with some big beautiful plants there in the middle as well, and a really big piece of driftwood that even stuck outside of the aquarium right in front of the sign of their store. But also in this entrance next to the discus tank, they have all these little nano aquariums, terrariums, and vivariums. Just some really interesting ideas if you wanted to do something a little more small in your apartment or your house and you just don't have a ton of space. This would be perfect. Or if you're just really into the nature and ecosystem of something that's small, it would just be a really interesting route to go. I really liked seeing some of these. But then once you move further into the store, you can see they have an awesome selection of driftwood, rocks, and just scaping materials in general. Finding a fish store that has awesome driftwood is kind of a rarity, and this one is one of the best in the Chicagoland area. I'll definitely be coming back here to get some driftwood for some of my future tank setups. And this is one of the most unique things I've seen. This was called a plankton pub. And they basically have all their live food like baby brine shrimp and daphnia, things like that, all behind this counter next to a couple fridges of live food. It was just a very cool way to display some of that live food that you could buy from their store. But then moving further into the fish store, you'll see some nano aquariums with some really good looking shrimp, some nano fish, and then bettas that are properly displayed in some slightly bigger tanks than you would typically see at fish stores, which I really appreciated. And then right around the corner from that is kind of the main area where we had all freshwater tanks and stocking on the left and all saltwater on the right. And again, the majority of the stocking here is really for planted aquariums on the freshwater side, or more of your reef aquarium fish on the right hand side. But they really had great stocking options, and a lot of these tanks had quite a few fish as well. So they had some healthy fish and they were stocked up really nicely. But in the middle of this room they had a couple other holding tanks for some angelfish that look beautiful, and back to that was some more discus. And I really just continue to watch discus throughout the whole trip to this store. The big tank up front, but also some of these beauties in the back. And also, as you walk through and check out all the stocking, you can see that each of these small tanks look pretty good. They have a background, a nice little miniscape in some of them. Most of these have a lot of live plants, so it not only looks good, it's healthy for the fish, but you could also purchase some of these good looking plants. And even though I'm not totally into keeping a ton of the nano fish, it did really inspire me and make me want to do maybe like a big tank with just a ton of these small guys, but we'll see. But if you're looking for some of your bigger cichlids out there, some of those more tank busters that don't do well with aquascapes, this store probably isn't the best for you, but there are some cichlids here. I found a Bolivian ram, and they do really well in planted tanks, but of course angelfish are one of the best cichlids when it comes to planted tanks, as well as discus, and I really liked all the different varieties of angelfish that they had here. And then, like I mentioned, there was a lot of options for your reef safe fish, but they also had great coral selections here in the middle. I'm not going to show a ton of this, but it did look like a lot of these pieces were really healthy. And with my new aquarium setup, I've just been looking more and more at corals and anemones, and I felt like this store really highlighted both of those very well. And I really enjoyed my time here at Zooxae. I would definitely recommend, if you're in the area, in the Chicagoland area, come check it out. It's in Elgin, Illinois. I'll leave a link and directions down in the description below. I think you would definitely enjoy it, even if you're more into the bigger cichlids. It's still really cool to see some of these different setups, and especially that big Discus Aquarium. Thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.